if you take things personal, you can't be around me.
Got it.
Because if I was speaking about you, I wouldn't talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I like, you can have the show. I don't care.
This is Good One. I am Jesse David Fox, senior writer at Vulture and author of Comedy Book. My guest today is Vince Staples, acclaimed rapper, actor, writer. The focus of our conversation is his Netflix show, the appropriately titled The Vince Staples Show, whose second season came out earlier this month. It is one of the weirdest, most ambitious, philosophically risky, and frankly random comedies on TV. The thing about Vince is he's like the Sphinx, equally thoughtful and inscrutable, but I found this to be the rare interview with him where you actually got a sense of what the hell was going on in there, or maybe he was just messing with me. You be the judge. So here is Vince Staples. I'm here with Vince Staples. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, man. Appreciate the time.
What's the funniest thing that happened to you this week?
I mean, nothing's kind of funny and everything's funny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had some funny interviews today. Well, it wasn't funny, but the guy said something. I forgot what he said, and then guy, not the guy, but someone named Guy, turned his chair around and it was laughing profusely. I don't know what happened, but I missed it. But it was funny. It was
funny that person was laughing so hard.
It just, he turned his chair around ever so softly and continued to laugh. So that was interesting because I didn't know what he was laughing at, but I understood the plight.
Got it. So I can think of many TV shows like The Vince Staples Show. It's when I describe to people, I have a very hard time. But you're a person with many influences that are not necessarily immediately apparent, but they are deep in your way you view your work. And I want to talk about a few of them as a way of sort of explaining what the season is like and provide context for people. So the first will be more comedic and the others will be more cinematic. Mm-hmm. So you've noted that Chappelle's show and Dave Chappelle in particular were the first comedian and comedy thing that you responded to. As a kid, do you remember what stood out about it?
I mean, I just think it was timing. I was like 4th, 5th grade probably. So I remember Chappelle show and Reno 911 felt like it was around the same time.
Yeah.
Reno 911 was funny, but it was a show. But I don't think I've ever like really paid attention to a sketch comedy show before, because seeing Reno 911 was like similar to Married with Children or you know, Home Improvement. Of course, it was a little bit more brash, but it was a similar format. I think the format of the Chappelle show was something that was new to me just because of my age.
Yeah.
Only thing I've seen that was probably similar to that was like, Whose Line Is It Anyway, or something like that. Like I have old parents and grandparents and stuff. But yeah, I just think it felt like it was refreshing and new. And I was seeing like blackface, kind of not blackface, but a blackface. So they're two different things. Seeing a blackface, like kind of executing those things was interesting to me.
Yeah, I think also the fact that it was filmed sketches, I imagine, stood out from like Whose Line is essentially like it's improv, but it's live and it's like an SNL thing. Where what was so interesting about the show is that even though it was still comedy, it was like they're filmed and there was tonality to them.
Yeah, and I didn't see him on TV. We didn't have cable, so I have a cousin named Jackie, and Jackie's cool. Jackie had a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the lady's name, but it was her roommate. And
Got it.
Jackie's roommate had an RV, and then she took us to like a fucking video store or whatever and let us get stuff. And I got Reno 911 and Chappelle show. I don't know why I got them. I think probably because the Comedy Central logo.
Yeah.
Like just, you know, back then you just pick shit up.
And it said comedy on it. You're like, oh, I guess that's probably what funny is.
Yeah, it's just happened. And yeah, I watched him and it was just interesting. And I think that around that time, it was kind of getting a little bit bigger with like friend grouping kids and stuff like that. Then like the whole R. Kelly skit happened, and that was big on the elementary school playgrounds, which I'm sure was a dream of his.
Yeah, that was his goal.
Yeah, so a dream deferred, I guess, because it wasn't really him, but I guess he lived through Dave. But yeah, I think that it just kind of was perfect timing.
Yeah. You have a relationship with Dave, the person now. And I think you expressed he had some amount of influence where he's provided you advice of just sort of how to navigate having a career. Can you share anything about what you've learned from him just in terms of like how to be a person while trying to do this?
I mean, Dave's just nice. And Dave's like a regular person. I think that's mostly life stuff. I've honestly never talked to Dave about like television I don't think I've ever spoken to him about my show ever in my life. Or like Dave likes hip hop a lot. So like we kind of have those conversations. But He's just very much so a person that's telling you to do it your way.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a bunch of he speaks in riddles and shit. And so just it's interesting to hear him speak because he always has like a story to tell.
Yeah.
I've kind of seen his process, like his stand-up process, which is interesting because it's kind of similar to that. He pulls from kind of conversations with the room and kind of see him work out things and then go do a show with like the worked out material. It happens relatively fast. But yeah, I think he's just like just a good dude, family guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very simple, man. He's not as complex as people make it
He lives in
seem.
he lives in Ohio on a farm. It's a
Yeah,
fairly simple life.
you know what I mean? So I think that's like very interesting is like, someone that has that kind of mind chooses to be, human. So I think humanity is very important in Dave's approach.
Yeah, I think also especially after what happened after Chappelle's show that time period. I imagine you went from a person who's following the show, you were first a fan, so you just knew of the story of Dave
Mhm.
leaving, and then you see him after all of it, and it's like settled. You're like, oh, I think it's not just whatever the news story around it. Like he was a person.
Yeah, I think, yeah, just kind of how I grew up. It was just like it just was over. Like, I didn't get all the stories and stuff. To like
Yeah.
obviously we were related because we were really kids, but it's like such a wild thing to make up about him. But how it goes. That's show business. But yeah, just a really good guy.
Can you talk about watching The Simpsons? Your favorite episode?
Like I said, we didn't have cable, so Simpsons. I think it was Simpsons, King of the Hill, Seinfeld, and that's it's kind of time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest Seinfeld fan as a kid because I didn't understand it, obviously. But kind of that's like where you start to fall asleep, like when Jerry's at the beginning of the show. So just kind of symbolism for like childhood. I've probably seen every episode of The Simpsons.
Do you still
Not the
watch?
new I watch new stuff sometimes, like, but not like as much as I did when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I watched that shit every night, like for decades. So I don't know. I really honestly can't pick a favorite episode.
No, I get it. I mean, there's a Simpsons aspect to the world of the Vince Staples show is probably why I asked about it. In particular, how you write like one scene characters or like a person just in an episode. They're like a lot of shows, if they're just serving a function of like story, they'll just be like a person. Where every character that it should be like that, it's like a huge swing, almost like a cartoon aspect of the person.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that something you hope to do? Is that
Well, yeah, I mean, we don't really have like our show's it doesn't have like a sitcom format. Of course, we have our network notes that kind of make it seem that way. And how it goes, season 1, season 2 type things. But it's like we utilize that as a strength because we have really good casting and we have so many people. But it's really just me and other people. It's not me and these other people walking hand in hand. It's kind of utilize the Vince character as sort of a lens to the other things that are happening that are kind of ridiculous in nature, which isn't anything relatively new, but I think my lack of experience in everything involved in film and television, you kind of just lean on the things that you kind of know I've never looked into the creation of The Simpsons or The Chappelle Show or anything for that matter. It's just, that's how you understand things because you've seen it through that lens. So I think it just kind of came naturally, but every character is just as important as the next. Like there's not any main anything. It's just kind of Vince as a motif or just a lens rather than a character and everyone else is the characters. I'm just kind of there.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like, I think about in the third episode, this is going to come out after season premiere, so we might spoil specific things. But
no biggie, yeah.
You have the guy who's there to read the will. Again, truly, like, he could have almost no lines in this. He could just be like, and this is what it is. But you have him, you open the show on him doing drugs. Can you talk about what you thought about that? Why do you thought that was funny? Why did you want him to be more dynamic than just like a person providing information?
I just kind of see things the way that I see them. Like, it's not even like about a joke, really.
Yeah.
Like of course, jokes happen because life is funny, but that's like a narrowed down version of the story. Like everything that you see from me has probably 30 notes. No room notes, network notes, things like that to kind of shorten it up and make it digestible, which is why it's so important to have people around you that kind of reel those things in. Like, not necessarily as good or bad, just you don't need it. But we spent a lot more time with him than ended up in the edit. But, one thing about my directors and my whole production team is they're going to try to shoot everything. And there are moments to where nobody knows what's going on and they know I'm not going to tell them what I'm trying to do. So they're just going to do it how they see best. And I think that allows for creativity.
That's so like, ultimately, would you say if without any notes or anything, your version would be like more maximalist, like The Simpsons, where like essentially every part of the frame is filled with
Yeah, it'd
some
be
amount.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I can't afford that many people.
Yeah.
But it'd be ridiculous. Yeah, it'd be utterly ridiculous.
You were on American Dad. Would you like to do the voice of The Simpsons? I know that showrunner. I could maybe text him and put in a word.
I got a sync. They play one of my songs on The Simpsons. They don't really play music like that on The Simpsons though. I think that's something I could like die now and that'd be cool. But yeah, but I like to say I know isn't it over? They're done.
No,
Oh,
man.
they're not done. That
They're
was a
making another
lie?
movie. They're bigger than I wrote a story about it, so I know. But they once they went on Disney Plus, they had a huge reemergence because all essentially it skipped young Gen Z, like they because of and now
Yeah, fuck those kids.
yeah, but Gen Alpha just wants a thing that has hours and hours of footage, and so they all are watching The Simpsons because like they're watching Disney movies, and then they're like, "What's this thing?" And they're like, "How many episodes is it?" It's like 780 and still going, and I met many young kids who are just like watching the entirety of The Simpsons.
Yeah, I mean it's something that you can literally put on, and I think that's something that serialization is a fucking myth. I hate serialized all the time. But just me personally, but I think that's why I like The Simpsons. Kind of probably because how I grew up watching TV and stuff like that, like just on like terrestrial television, and you don't know when. I don't know when things air. I've never grown up knowing that stuff. Like I don't know when the shows ever started or like stopped. Outside from probably like I remember kind of when Boondocks kind of started, just the era of like school and life and stuff like that. But when I was a kid, I didn't really pay attention to a lot of those things. So the thing about The Simpsons is like in like South Park and Family Guy, like you just dive in those things. Like I didn't know Mr. Rogers wasn't airing live when I was a fucking kid. No one knows those things. So I think that that's the strength in that kind of storytelling is that you can just drop in on an episode and be entertained.
This season is more serialized than last season, but that's because last season was much less, and this one it's enough to get you between episodes. But was that a push? Did you want it to be still episodic, but it was a negotiation?
We just had more days. Like we had like 2.5, like 3 days per episode to shoot. Now we got 6. So it's like we dropped like 10 to 15 pages per episode. It was like we didn't shoot anything first season. It was just kind of a run and gun approach. But we kind of were able to, we didn't get more money or anything, but we were kind of able to manipulate certain things like location and things of that nature.
You didn't shoot in California.
So that helped us a lot. And just we kind of still keep the day in the life aspect. It's on like 3-4 days tops.
Yeah.
But you just kind of separated. I was able to kind of win a lot of the trust of some of our partners, and yeah, they're like, do your thing. And I was like, are you sure that you want to say that? And it panned out that there were some things that were like it's a little too far, but it was very few and far between. Like we were able to kind of run wild, and I just kind of separated and told the story slower. And like the first 2 episodes are the same night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we still get our day in the life thing, but just a little bit slower.
Are you willing to share anything that was too far?
I'll tell you off camera.
Got it.
Because I might still do it. Not like because it's like taboo, but you never know when they might say yes one day. But yeah, we have some cool stuff.
In a lot of interviews, you'll talk about influences, and one name comes up a lot, which is Roy Andersson. And I will admit, I maybe have heard the name before, but I never really watched any of his movies. I talked to our film critics, so like, yeah, like movie people know who he is, but beyond that, for those who don't know, he's currently in his 70s. He's a Swedish absurdist. And I watched one of his movies preparing for this, and I was like, this is just like the Vince Staples show. Can you talk about how do you find his work?
It was random. I was like older, but it was just random. Like, you see a picture of something and it's like, what is this? Or like see a frame from something. It was just one of those things. But it was interesting because I don't like super cutty stuff just because I kind of like to live in those moments. Animation, you kind of live in the moments because you can't really waste all that money making all this extra shit happen. People enter the frame and leave the frame, especially like Simpsons, Family Guy, living room type stuff. And it kind of was reminiscent of that. And I think that our approach to kind of live in the frame, you have, Wes Anderson, all the Andersons do it, but I think he's the most kind of blatant with it.
Yeah.
And I just liked it. It drew to me.
I want to play you a scene from Songs from the Second Floor that reminds me of you. I'm going to have to put on this one.
Cool.
We don't have audio, but it's in Swedish and there's subtitles. So
it doesn't matter. I don't know what's going on in those movies. I just look at them.
Let's see if this works. Let's see. This is from Songs from the Second Floor by Roy Andersson. The only part we don't hear is he
I
screams in
know.
pain. You know the scene.
It's my shit. I think, yeah, I mean,
You like that scene?
yeah, leave, I'm sorry, leave with the question. Leave with what
No,
you're
no.
saying.
Tell me, you watched it. You've seen the movie before, I'm sure. What do you like about that scene?
Well, I think, like when you deal with like, brainstorming and things of that nature, certain things are hard to explain. You just have to see them, right? I say the name a lot. I don't know if anybody that works with us kind of went back to look at certain stuff, except for like, obviously the directors know the thing. But one thing that's interesting about that kind of storytelling and just composition is, for one, they're outdoors, and just from the focal length and kind of their framing, it feels congested even though they're outside. And the width of the frame doesn't take away from the narrative that's happening. And in television, sometimes, or just in general in life, we get a lot of whys. Like, why are they pushing the car? What's in those bags? Why are we not cutting in? Why is he doing this? Why did they kick him? And they're just like living. And in life, we've seen people fight. We've seen people push cars. We've seen arguments on the sidewalk. And we don't pay attention to it because life is fucking ridiculous and we ignore it over and over again. And I think that shooting like that is forcing people to understand the dynamics of what's going on. Like, there's almost like an awkwardness to paying attention to the world around you because we're all constantly distracted. Like, things are happening. So, like in our bank robbery scene, we kind of stick on the why. That was like a fight for certain things. You know what I mean? I think in season 2, we were able to kind of lean on a lot of those things.
Yeah.
And of course, you get certain pushback. Like, can we cut in on the house? And it's like, no, if we're talking about the house, let's show the house.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That's kind of where I go from.
Yeah, I mean, what this scene really captures is perspective, right? It's like, to the guy who was stabbed and beat up, this is the worst day of his entire life. To the people that beat him up, this is just a guy they beat up. The people at the bus stop are just waiting for the bus. And then, like, the people roller skating, literally,
Don't know
they're
what
having a
happened.
great day. And to me, that is like the Vince Staples show's like driving philosophy, is that the difference between a good day and bad day is really about
Yeah,
perspective.
you're splitting hairs.
Yeah. Is that how you see it?
Absolutely. I think that, like I always say, it's like a perspective piece, but everyone has the ability to be right or wrong. Like, I remember we had one of our producers, and she was like, we just really want people to like Vince. And I was like, why? Like, it's just really not important to me. And I understand fully what she's saying, but the why comes from, what is that integral to in the story, in the universe? Because it's just not realistic. I'm honestly not that likable of a person. So I don't really understand like the need for certain things, especially when we talk about being creative. So I just try to make sure that we have as many points of view as possible, as many perspectives as possible. And you only can do what you can get away with, but we're able to get away with a lot. So I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, I imagine it's pretty hard to be like, comedy is shot traditionally one way. It's like, lock down the camera, the two people are talking. Then
Coverage, reaction shot,
yeah.
medium wide.
And you're to shoot that, you'd be like, literally, that is against all rules of how comedy is shot in America. But that you don't care about the rules of how comedy shot.
Well, because I don't know them.
Yeah.
So because I didn't go to school. I've never written a script until we did this show. I didn't even plan on doing it when we first got the show. Like, it's just something that happened. Like, even down to show running and things of that nature. Like, it's something that kind of literally just happened. Like, it wasn't a goal. So I think because I don't know the rules, I'm more likely to break them.
Yeah.
With knowing, without knowing, is either way it would happen. But
Roy's perspective, I think critics would argue, is he grew up post-World War II in Sweden, a country that was neutral during World War II. And so his philosophy is sort of reckoning with what it means to be neutral after World War II. And as a result, it creates a sort of dispassionate view. It's not nihilistic, it's not cynical. It's just sort of like, things are happening. Where do you think it comes from for you?
I mean, I think environment has to do a lot with a lot of the ways that we kind of view things in art. Life is just life, and you don't get to pick like what goes on and what happens. Like, some people say I'm nihilistic. I don't really pay much attention. It's like a 3-hour YouTube video on it. One of my friends sent me once, but it's like, I think it's more realistic than anything. Like, I think my show is actually very like bright.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like, we lean on what we're comfortable with. So certain things should be skewed to be dark. To like our minds, certain things should be skewed to be bright, and when you kind of go on the other side of that coin, it just gets uncomfortable for people. But I think that finding kind of the art in the discomfort is when things kind of get interesting. I think the biggest issue with this, not the issue, but the biggest kind of fight we have with the show sometimes is shoot style, or kind of the way that conversation is flowing within the scripts. And And it's not necessarily a thing that happens after we've shot it, but you have to get to that point. So
Mm.
just kind of grateful to have kind of the ability to not care and say we're gonna do this. And I get a lot of no's, trust me, but certain things kind of just stick with the
Yeah.
show.
The other ones I was thinking about this season, we have a couple more. The Coen brothers, especially in the storytelling of this show, and especially this season,
Hmm.
there's aspects of Fargo, there's aspect of
Serious Man.
Serious Man, Big Lebowski, Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and the sort of journey aspect of it.
Hmm.
But I definitely thought of Serious Man. You once said like, why can't a black person make a Serious Man?
Mhm.
What is the as a Jewish person who watch a Serious Man and go, that's my Serious Man.
Hmm.
What does it mean for you to make Serious Man?
I mean, I think it's just a matter of letting the environment be the catalyst for the humor of the situation. I
Mm.
think that a lot of things are forward facing, and I get it because I'm a big fan of like Lucille Ball and physical comedy and things of that nature. But sometimes we can see what the other one does, and I don't think it's a. I think certain people have certain talents, and I don't have the talent to be, a Lucille Ball or a Martin Lawrence or Will Smith. I think Bernie Mac wasn't that physical in his show. That's kind of more my era, and it's like
Mm.
he's giving a monologue, sitting in a chair, shot like a fucking French film with
Yeah.
kind of the floating cameras through the hallways and things of that nature. So it's actually a very beautiful thing. But I think Larry Wilmore he is who he is, but it's a lot of great people taking a lot of risks, so to
Mm.
say. And I think that was just something that I just kind of wanted to do, and I felt comfortable with because I'm not a very
Yeah.
emotive person, period. So,
I think the other thing that I noticed is like the Coen brothers, a lot of their work is allegorical. Like
Mhm.
it is a story, but actually it's about like
Mhm.
morality as a person or religion or the American South and the blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And I think your show is very allegorical as well. Is that something that you try to do on purpose, which is to tell a non-literal story
Oh,
that
absolutely. Absolutely.
is that, your music tends to be taken very literal. It can be very almost documentarian at sometimes, especially some
Mhm.
albums. What do you like about being able to work in a more surreal space in a more allegorical space?
Well, I mean, I agree with what you said, but I think that's just a byproduct of like hip hop music and like the framing of it.
Mm.
It's just like a weird genre is this whole. It's like a bullshit thing in music. So it's like I understand it to a certain capacity, but in music, in a film, excuse me, in television, it's one of those things where people are looking for you to be creative, and in hip hop, it's like they're looking for you to be real,
Mm.
and you can be telling the exact truth, but if like you don't physically um or just kind of socially embody what they perceive your version of that music to be, then it's different. Then it's alternative. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah.
mean? Then it's like something different than what it actually is. But I think in film, you can work within genre and then have a lot more control within the genre because there are more anchors within the genres in music. If it's a specific kind of song, it can only come from production or optics or the messaging and the writing of the song, the lyrics of the song. But from comedy, you can have comedy writing, comedy shoot style, so many rom-coms, dramatic comedies,
Mm.
dark comedies, yada. It's just more to play with. And also you have another element of just watching something that gives you a little bit of another leg to stand on rather than just it being a listening experience. Unless it's a music video and that's not really looked at as something that people are looking to go to for thought.
Yeah. You've gone to great lengths demystifying the idea that like violence needs to be glamorized
Mhm.
in rap music or just music in general. And I do think in some ways all music glamorizes just because one, people only hear what they hear and
Yeah.
music seems like a glamorous lifestyle. Um, TV does not have to be that. You're not living a very glamorous life in this show. And beyond that, I guess my question is like, how do you think of it differently? But also like, there's violence, especially in this second season of the show. How do you think of violence depicted here versus when you do it in your music?
I think that people have an idea of what black people do in the ghetto. That's just the truth. It's fine, but it's just the truth. So it's like within the show, there's no room to like guess
Hmm.
what's happening. And I think most people haven't lived certain experiences, which is I think a great thing. But when they haven't lived the certain experiences, then you have kind of this Santa Claus effect where people are just guessing what they think are happening, and it's a game of telephone, and it's like a fight can just be a fight, and like a death or a murder
Mhm.
could just be a murder. Like it's not that serious. Like, don't. One of my friends, like, he spends a lot of time on like the Long Beach Reddit, and it's like, 'cause it's just funny. Like, hey guys, there's been a murder on Falcon and Broadway, so make sure you don't park right here. There's no street parking for this. Or it's just like the way that people
Mhm.
are, the blending and meshing of kind of certain environments, and Long Beach is known for Snoop Dogg, but it's also a city that's like has a very, very, very small black population, but a large Southeast Asian
Mhm.
population, a large Hispanic population, a large white population. But the violence is all across the city. So that doesn't necessarily mean everyone lives in fear. It means that's just a backdrop for something that people usually state or
Yeah.
usually see, excuse me. So stating that doesn't mean as much as showing that.
Yeah.
And I think that within film, you're able to kind of showcase some of these things in a way that allows people to kind of question their viewpoint on it, so
Mhm.
to say. I think that's something we try to do.
Yeah, it's not the deaths will happen randomly.
Yeah.
This is like when I mentioned Fargo, where it's like sometimes people just are dying in a gruesome way, but it's not
Hmm.
treated as this is the craziest thing that's ever been put on film.
Yeah.
That was the goal.
They threw him in the wood chipper, like,
Yeah. There's there are a couple episodes that are horror
Mhm.
influenced. Can you talk about what drew to that for those?
Well, every episode I wanted to kind of lean into another subgenre, kind of to give us our still distinct style per episode, even though we went a little bit more serialized. So just doing some noir stuff, some thriller stuff, kind of like a Roadhouse fucking slasher in the
Mm.
second episode. And I'm playing a game of Clue. We're kind of getting a long action chase scene down. Was kind of like just a cool little thing to keep it interesting for me in the writing
Yeah.
process.
You mentioned the expectation to be real as a rapper, and the first episode. So every episode has multiple title cards, or
Mhm.
it varies. But one is being in the first episode of the season is being John Malkovich. You don't explain why.
Mhm.
Um, but for people who've seen being John Malkovich, it relates to the what people's perception of a famous person is versus what it's like to live with it. Can you talk about that movie and what you hope to get across about the difference between how people perceive the famous person's life and what it's like to live a famous person's life?
I mean, perception is interesting. I mean, I think that playing with perception is the fun part. Like, I never explain anything. I never will. That's the fun part. But it's like asking like your set deck and your graphics team, like, hey, I want to put John Malkovich on the back wall, is a very fun conversation for me because no one knows what the fuck they're doing. But then you have people like, Holly Ringwald and Sarah. And Sarah is great and Holly's great, but Margot, I just can't name too many people, but we had a really strong team this season. And we had one last season as well, but just kind of coming into a second season of a show blindly in a new location, they really did an amazing
Yeah.
job. But I think that you're on this. You're onto some things, but it's
Well, this is very Coen Brothers review as well. I don't know if you've read Coen Brothers interviews. They also will not give up anything.
it's not fun. But what I will say is that the perception of celebrity is something that I don't think people speak about enough because
Mhm.
it's not a real thing, like at all. I've seen some very famous people at the Sprouts in the parking lot. No, like it's not that crazy. It depends on how you carry and perceive yourself, and playing with that perception it gives you a nice thing to lean on when you're kind of being surreal in certain elements because since people don't necessarily understand fame, a lot of things can just be chalked up to fame.
Yeah.
Oh, Vince got away with killing somebody because he's famous. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what kind of what kind of thoughts people could make about the mistakes that the characters have in the show because you can chalk it up to whoever they are in life. And a lot of the characters constantly blame things on Vince being successful, and it literally has nothing to do with anything. Like, it's not supposed to make sense because that excuse doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's interesting is the show, especially this season, is a lot about fame and black fame. And you seemingly do not care about being famous at all. And it's from my perspective, fame is an allegory for, in general, how people's perception of a person versus what it's like to be an actual person. Let me put it this way. There's a joke in the first episode where you need to be recognized so you can rent a car. And you go, I'm Vince Staples, and you're just like I did the song with Billie Eilish. You're like, I'm Vince Staples from the Vince Staples Show on Netflix, which I don't think I've ever seen other than like Looney Tunes or like Deadpool, a person acknowledging they're in the thing that they're currently in. And it seemed to be a joke making fun of the expectation that you would do a show about being a rapper.
Yeah, you know.
Do you think it is silly that? Do you think that expectation is silly?
I mean, I get it. That was a studio note for the original first season. Like, we need Vince to be making music, and one of the people on the team was like, "Why?" Like, and it was like, because it's like I think
Yeah.
it's just something that how we kind of view things. But I do find it silly because I'm not that famous of a fucking person, and it's like not even like I live with myself, so
Yeah.
it's really not that big of a deal. But it's not necessarily about that for especially people close to you. You see that within the family. Um, our proximity to you gives us an excuse or gives us kind of like retribution,
Mm.
meaning that you're famous, I'm not. That's why I can't do this and you can't do that, or successful. Let's not use fame. Or you're successful, which means as a family we've succeeded. So it means more to the people around you
Mhm.
than to you yourself, whether they use it as a crutch or like a stepping stone. And I think that's something that we try to speak about.
Yeah. So now we're getting into heavy spoiler territory for those.
Mhm.
If you do not want, this is one of the big things of this season, spoiled, skip to the next section of the interview people
It's
watching.
Netflix. It's like 2 hours. You should have watched it already.
Yeah, this is like
Don't be a dick.
This is episode 3, so we're like an hour in. So, in this season, your Uncle James dies.
Mhm.
It is revealed that his name is James Brown, and then at the will reading, it's not the musician, it's the football player.
Mhm.
Okay, so then you're like, oh, like Jim Brown, but then it is clear that this person has the biography of O.J. Simpson. This is what is implied. So that's as a viewer, that's what it seems. So I want to just, you were one when the Ford Bronco chase happened. What did O.J. represent to you, and how did that evolve?
Well, O.J. Simpson is a very interesting character because it's like I said, your fame means more to the people around you than you. O.J. Simpson's case, to a lot of people, felt like retribution and vindication for the Black community in Los Angeles. And it had nothing to do with that. One had nothing to do with the other. Like, see, the police are corrupt. I told you they were doing it to us. He didn't cut his wife's head off at his house. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But I think that fame is such an interesting thing. And I think within the season itself, he kind of represented guilt for Vince. Like, the family's looking at it like, oh, your uncle died, and you're I guess disassociated from your family. But success disassociates you because your thought processes and things of that nature all change. But in reality, Vince is looking at it from a standpoint of, okay, this is a very similar situation to what I'm going through partially. So Vince's relationship and connectivity to Uncle James has nothing to do with any of the things that it might have to do with for the rest of his family members. And I think that's just a fun thing to play with. But as far as him as a person, like, O.J. Simpson is very, very funny because, like, it was a very personalized thing when it came to how we viewed him kind of culturally. And later down the line, a lot of people are like, all right, that was a little bit fucked up. But in the heat of the moment, we utilize, as we do all of our celebrities or public figures, like, they're comfort measures for a lot of people, whether it's we like your art or we like you or you make me feel like I can one day be successful or I can escape whatever my circumstances are to, an array of things. But I think that he kind of just stands for that kind of viewpoint of celebrity. But you're the first person to say the Jim Brown thing.
Well, that's the next question, because Jim Brown, they are like mirror images of how a person can live a life after being successful. I'll ask you, I could just state certain things about the parallels, but I first want to hear, what was your perspective on Jim Brown?
Jim Brown's interesting. There's a lot. I'm from Los Angeles County, so Jim Brown was very instrumental in a lot of things politically. He was very instrumental in like gang intervention, and now he
was a big part of the 1992 Watts.
Yeah, but even further than that, he had a lot of other stuff going on, like Round Table and shit like that. But then he took the turn he took, later down the line. So it's just interesting to kind of see how perception of people can change over time and how they utilize that celebrity and where they go looking for certain things.
What's it like pitching this storyline to a variety of invested partners, be it other writers, to a network, being like, cool, this season's going to be revolving around O.J. Simpson, kind of, but actually it's going to be this whole... Was it a hard sell? Did people get it?
I mean, season 1, yeah, they made me change his name. They told me he couldn't be Uncle O.J. I thought it had a ring to it. But then after we shot it, they're like, oh, let's do it. So I was like, no, which is a sign that as the dailies come out and people start to buy into the world, it was too late, but I think this worked out well because I found a way to make it make sense. But season 2, it wasn't really a lot of pitching. It was like, especially to the writers. Writers' room is easy. And I'm very hands on with like everything, and I have 2 amazing writers, like great writers, and and 3 now counting Jeff because but Jeff got a script as well. He was our writing assistant, and he ended up on the writing team like mid thing. But Amy and Crystal are amazing, and I can say do anything. And obviously, I'm breaking episodes, I'm doing outlines and stuff like that. So they're like, okay, this is how I feel, and then we come and clean it up. Obviously, we got our production drafts and things of that nature, but I don't really get questions from them unless they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And that's more so like Amy than Crystal, because Crystal's a little bit more darker. She's like on my speed. Amy's like a ball of joy. So we got to get Amy to that dark place sometimes because Amy's an angel. But the writers, like, I'm lucky to have the people I have around because they'll literally let me do whatever I want.
Yeah.
As far as the network goes, that's a different thing, but I think it's more so like I can go for it.
Yeah.
So it's important to know when people are uncomfortable, and you have to control how uncomfortable you make people. So they know I'm not gonna care most of the time. So like when it's being brought to me like repeatedly, it really makes me think about, okay, is this too far? How will this be misunderstood? Am I executing? Because execution is a part of idea. You're not just making ideas for fucking you. Especially everyone walks around and thinks they're like this fucking smart, brilliant, smart ass. I don't think I'm that kind of person. But if you think you're that fucking smart, then maybe most people aren't as smart as you, and you should find a way to connect to people. So I just use that as a measuring stick to when I've kind of went too far. But as far as the OJ shit, I was like, we start having conversations. Hey, we need to do this. We need to do that. This is what we have access to. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to do OJ and XYZ and XYZ. It's like, oh, okay. And then based on season 1, they're like, let's just see it first. And then if it's too far, then they'll tell me it's too far.
Another famous person who sort of is a specter of who gets brought up is Michael Jackson. And I do think it's a similar perspective on Michael in terms of just sort of him as a product of fame. And what fame could do to people, what the music industry, what does Michael Jackson represent to you?
Michael Jackson is he's like Judy Garland to me. Like they're the same person. They look alike too. Obviously after some work. But I think we had to cut a little Michael Jackson stuff. I had like a horror sequence in there with Michael Jackson. It just didn't come out how I wanted, but we turned him to like the Babadook.
Sure.
That would have been a good one, but it didn't work out. But maybe later. But yeah, I think that Michael Jackson is more of a reference point for Vince's mother than it is for him himself. So he's like, what the fuck are you speaking about? When she kind of has a reference point, but it's kind of utilized as a parallel of fame. It's like Vince's perception of fame versus Milton's perception of fame versus Anita's perception of fame, and her reference point being Michael Jackson and his Motown performance where he basically like kind of shit on his family.
Yeah.
And that's her statement of how you need to stand up for yourself. And that kind of I utilize that kind of as a reference point, for Vince dealing with his uncle's death and family, stuff like that. It's some deeper shit, but I won't tell you. But you're close.
That's fine. So you've said that episode 4 and 5 were the ones you were most precious about achieving exactly how you wanted it to achieve. How would you describe those episodes?
It's like a game of Clue, and like during like antebellum slavery, as Ruth would say. We're just like a game of Clue. I like Clue.
How do I describe it? So essentially, Vince, through his uncle James, finds himself at a social club for the Black elite, and I think it's noteworthy that essentially when you're in the office, you see a photo that alludes to The Shining, and then the book of Wizard of Oz, which are like 2 particularly allegorical works. And it all builds to a dinner at the social club where you're surrounded by all the white people who run this foundation for the Black elite. How did you communicate what you wanted this scene to feel like to people who maybe have not experienced such a dinner?
I mean, you really just have to be hands-on because I don't think you should explain it. What I mean by that is this: I have conversations with the directors now. Will directed those episodes, and Will was with us on season one. He's on one of our EPs now. Well deserved. Should have been on season one, but he he'll be like, just so you know he's British. So he'll be like, just so you know, bro, they're nervous and no one knows what you're talking about. And that's an important thing to say. It's like they're not going to tell you, but they're nervous.
Who's nervous? Everyone, the producers,
Just,
the actors.
it just might be set deck or locations or something like that. So then you have to get with them and sit down and figure out where where the holes are in what you're trying to convey. And it's something as simple as like where every single book is and what every single book that's on the shelf means something. And I picked all of them and the placement of the picture and how the door opens. Like we just really sit down and we go through the technical steps rather than trying to wrap people's heads around certain things, especially when you're dealing with people of other races, specifically white people who are Canadian. They don't understand certain things. You don't want people to get uncomfortable because then they're not viewing it from what you don't want is for white people to start trying to view things from a black lens. You need to do it like you're white because this is a white building. If you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, those are things that you just can't say out loud. So what you say is, make sure that the Wizard of Oz books are in this exact order because if you follow the story, it gets very deep. And that book itself has, a lot to do with Dorothy and her uncle who, it's a long, it's a lot going on. I already told you too much. But yeah, it's when it came to the dinner scene, it's like, that really was in the edit. They kind of went into that blind.
Yeah.
And we played it a lot more fun than we ended up editing because we were going to utilize a lot of score. So even the tailor's office, like, there's a lot of little allegories in here that that are interesting. But as far as like how we explain the dinner, it's like, it's a big difference between someone being racist and just being like a regular fucking white person. And sometimes they intersect.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying? So no one there was like, when you look at the conviction and Ruth's statement, like, this is philanthropic in their way. This is them doing their part. It's like, because do we just ignore these things? No, they're gamifying something to speak. They all believe in what they're saying. They all believe in this black community and the black elite, and they believe in these things, which is what makes it crazy. Because if they're just being rude and playing a joke, then it's not uncomfortable. Then you know what it is. But I think kind of watching Vince work through the sincerity is how you pitch it. You pitch the sincerity, like the names all mean something. Obviously, like the judge is. It's all things like, title all kind of shit. But I'll tell you off camera. But because they can't know. But it's important to give them that backstory so they're not, I'm just not an asshole. I am this person related to this person and I'm here for the betterment of the black community. Yeah. Because that in itself is fucking ridiculous. Yeah. So you don't need to make it fake. You know what I mean?
You want the actors, you don't want the actors thinking they're playing villains because that is not the tone of the scene.
It's not the case at all.
They're, throughout the entirety of the scene, thinking they're there to help every second of it.
Exactly. And that's the fun part. And that's crazier than just being racist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's still, I mean, have you had many dinners like that?
None.
Meetings, but meetings like that?
Corey, have we had any meetings like that? He's right there. Huh? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Corey, I think Corey sees it more. Corey has more meetings than me.
Where you're with white people who are trying to help.
Yeah, I mean,
or believe they're helping, or they think the way to help. I'm gonna throw it. They believe the way to help black people as a whole is to help individual black peoples become rich.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, fuck, I can't think of the name. Eddington.
Yeah.
The scene for this, the part of Eddington where the kid's at the dinner table explaining shit to his parents, and his dad's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It's pretty much the same sentiment. It's like, whether you mean well or not, it's still fucking ridiculous. I think it was more important for them to be ridiculous than evil at that present moment, because it just kind of builds up to Vince's annoyance. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is, like, you can't necessarily say that Vince is right and they're wrong in that situation. It's kind of a perspective piece, but it's it's just interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I think at the beginning of those two episodes, you go from playing a game you don't know the rules of, to realizing you're in a game that they don't realize, like, you almost like are above it, right? It's like almost like you
Yeah,
see the
for
matrix
sure.
of it. Is that what is the idea of you're sitting down for a game, a thing that you had to figure out? You're like, oh, this is more gamified than either they're presenting it to be, or um, they don't realize they're essentially gamifying my career or my experience.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a matter of perception. Like if you look at the different perspectives, they might look at that like it's the fucking escape room, and Vince is looking at it like it's a mockery. And a lot of the times things do come off like they're mockeries. Like I've had a lot of conversations where people have like, guess what? We're acknowledging you. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that shit is like it don't mean nothing to me, bro. But it's like I'll tell you what I'm talking about later. But it's like we've had Zooms with companies that are like, we just want you to know that we see you and we hear you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you need anything from us, like let us know because we're the XYZ big award show.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
What would that even look like? They don't have an
You know
idea.
what I
They
mean?
just wanted to have the Zoom. What it looks
Yeah.
like is having more Zooms like that.
And that's my thing is like, we're here for you. It's supposed to mean something. But it's condescending in, a very subtle way. And I think that's something that we try to give off. But also giving like a tenseness and the eeriness and leaning into the genre of, a Clue or Knives Out and things of that nature. And yeah.
Maybe this will be, you shouldn't say, but like, can you imagine Netflix executives watching that scene and be like, this is about us?
I don't think that's the case because the scenes are much nicer than I speak in meetings.
Got it.
So,
They already got it.
yeah, so it's like it's a big like it's a big difference between like if you take things personal, you can't be around me.
Got it.
Because if I was speaking about you, I wouldn't talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
I would like you can have the show. I don't care. You know what I mean? Just from like an integrity standpoint. But like we have we have really good like Andy. There are points in time where I'm like, Andy's gonna die in here from a heart attack, trying to explain to me why we need exposition at the top of this. We can't just drop in.
This is a
Why?
Netflix.
But it's like it's so the honesty when you build these relationships with people because this is why I love Andy, man. And Andy doesn't get enough credit. Jasmine gets a lot of credit as well. Like, but Jasmine is like it's a different thing from Andy because Jasmine's like a black woman, so she has a more connectivity to certain things. She's not as nervous. Jasmine like we gonna make it work. Like Andy's cool too, but Jasmine's like she has a different understanding.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the point to where Andy's like, I'm just not comfortable or I don't understand, and it's the same thing with our set deck, with our camera department, all these people. Then we're operating from a standpoint of honesty, and then we lean in with the unfamiliar. We not lean in on unfamiliarity in like a negative sense, but we lean in with creativity, meaning that let's find an interesting shot or interesting color palette or interesting way of dialogue to make people kind of feel comfortable within the scene, especially when you're making uncomfortable commentary. And I think without those kinds of conversations from the network and from the team and from people who just don't know what the fuck is going on in my head, so to say, we don't get what we end up getting. So I don't think anyone takes it personal because they all know how I feel about my perspective and their perspective. I tell them when I think they're being afraid. They tell me when they think I'm being ridiculous.
Got it.
It's like it's a decent thing, and I think it just comes from the fact that we've always kind of been. I wouldn't say always on their part because you can't be honest to artists because artists are sensitive like little babies and shit. But we've gotten to a point to where like honesty is just a part of the conversation. So we really never had a situation. There are points to where I've been like, we should do this, and they're like, no, it's too far, and I say okay. There's some times where I'm like, no, but it's always a conversation. Like there's a lot of things in this show that you might like or that other people might like that they think comes directly from me that is a toned down network. No. And that's extremely important to have that open line of communication understanding so they know who they're working with because they're not creating it from their notes don't necessarily come from. That's like I'm caping for a network. But I promise you I'm not. But especially like a multi-billion-dollar corporation, I never do that. I never do that. But what I'm saying is there's a difference between this is from my perspective and this is my perspective of you.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's coming from a lens of how they view you, then it still works within the world. You just have to build that relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense. So in contrast to Fame, death feels like an allegory, or the funeral is an allegory for just family and things that matter in contrast to Fame. And in the first episode of the season, you find yourself you essentially have to record a rap as a way of getting a car, just basically just described. And you mentioned that your uncle died to the producer, and he says, "Fuck your uncle. No one wants to hear that shit."
Hmm.
Is that something you've experienced?
No, I don't think that's something I've experienced. I just think it's kind of like that would be crazy. But I think it's just a matter of kind of the truth. Like the hidden truth is like, oh, that's what's up, bro. Like how you hear certain shit like people don't care, but it just it gave Vince like a very, very clear fork in the road of how he wanted to address that thing. And I think something that's important to me is that Vince makes the wrong decision often. I think that's very important for me from
Mm,
a writing standpoint. And that was just him, being Michael Jackson
yeah.
based on, what his mother said.
Um, when you learn about your uncle's passing, I believe the season opens with Crossroads from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Mhm.
Why was that important? How much money did that cost? Why was that money worth it?
A lot. It costs a lot. I've never picked a cheap song. We cut so many. I had like $100,000 Stevie Wonder song with no words on. They were like, and I was like, we don't have to do this, guys. It's fine. But
Yeah, this and Shout. I was like, you got Shout? I can only imagine how much Shout cost.
not as much as Stevie.
Got it.
But,
That I could assume.
Yeah. Thank you to the Isleys. The founding fathers of rock and roll. We love you.
But Crossroads, why was that important?
Because I think it holds a lot of symbolism culturally. We had a crazy we had an overhead shot that we just didn't abuse it, but like the motif of kind of like utilizing Uncle James's image on these other images of death, or images of art, because you know how we put him on the Shout album cover and that overhead. He was on the Bone Thugs album cover. He's in certain magazines. Like his face was everywhere. You just look for it enough. But I think that we wanted to keep his image in the back of Vince's mind. And kind of show what he symbolizes throughout the episode. And I think that song just was perfect for that time.
Yeah. Obviously, there are sad occasions, but at least in my experience, there's something really funny about funerals.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had that experience?
Funerals are fucking ridiculous. I've been to so many funerals, and I've seen so much shit at funerals. And I think funerals never really been sad to me. They were always like kind of a fiasco. We've had Corey's been one of my family funerals. He's seen some shit, man. Like funerals are crazy. You ever seen some shit like that before you went to my brother's funeral? No, but I'm saying, have you ever experienced that like at another funeral? Like, is it that kind of dynamic? It's an array. It's an array of fun, bro.
Yeah. It's different.
My family and my friends' funerals are like Chuck E. Cheese. It's like a theme park. It's crazy. So I wanted to kind of capture some of that.
So in the episode, you remark upon your uncle's death, and you say his death came out of nowhere, and your mom says, "Well, we're black. That's usually how it happens, son." Is that how you feel?
No, that's something my mom would say though. My family's very interesting. The why is we black thing from season 1 is like an actual quote from Uncle Winford. Shout out my Uncle Winford. But he asked that one day at dinner, and he made my family very unique about the way that how we approach being, Black American people. Like it's not like a demerit. You know what I mean? It's just like a matter of the fact. But yeah, I just feel like that would be my mother's response to something like that.
Yeah, your mother is really the only other main character that transitions from the first season to the second season. She's a big character in the show. How much is she like your mom in real life, and what did you hope to capture with her?
Well, I feel like it was really important this season to explain the OJ story, to kind of dissect other elements of the family, because like Nate, who plays the sister, didn't get much screen time season 1. So I'm like, okay, if we're gonna take Vince on this journey, we have to have contrast. And it's like it's a weird world, because since we're doing like an anthology series, it was very important to me to just not have the same people over and over and over and over and over again, because then you burn them out. Like I don't want to ever be a point to where we can't bring back the bank robbers or bring back the bank manager or bring back any of these people. So it's like The Simpsons, as we spoke about earlier, like with the mom, it's like it was very important to Uncle James's story more than it was important to Vince's story. So even the way that we shoot them in the framing and making sure that you show the similarities in the posture of Uncle James and Anita from walking to how we shoot certain things, it was very important to show that connectivity of how she was grieving and how she deals with her other child. So then you can understand Vince when he goes on a solo journey. If we don't start with Anita and then bring in Bree, because it's 4 episodes, 3 episodes. Excuse me, 3 episodes of just Vince by himself.
Yeah.
4 really, because he's not really with him at the funeral.
Yeah.
So, but none of that works if we don't start the season the way that we did, because we had to build a contrast so that we understand how he's grieving. So it was super duper integral. And I went back and forth with it. Like, do I just start with Vince on this solo mission? But it's like that was some exposition that I just feel like was needed to give the proper context.
Is she similar to your mother in real life?
Oh, the character's way, I think, more toned down than my mother is. Way calmer than my mother. Way nicer. Because my mom, like to other people, my mom's nice to us, but like my mom is very no nonsense when it comes to other people. Like my mother wouldn't have been that nice to Manny at the at the car rental place.
You've said that you got your sense of humor from your mother. Can you think of a memory that captures her sense of humor?
My mom's crazy. So it's like my mom says something crazy every day. I can't even think about it. It's just too many things. Like when she scolded Corey once for when she first met him, it was like a weird like CSI type interview. It was fucking weird. We told the lotto ticket car thing that she did.
The lotto ticket. You told the story. Where
she got the fake lotto ticket for our family. He's dead too, so it's like really fucked up now. But
just to be, for Christmas gave someone a lotto card.
Yeah, she used to give people fake lottery tickets to see like how they would react if they thought that they were rich. It was she has a very dark sense of humor. But my mom's like a really nice person, like especially now that she's older. But it's like sometimes it like seeps out, like that she's kind of crazy a little bit. So I find it's very interesting to have conversations with my mom.
Why comedy? Like broadly defined, the show is. I would say comedy, at least in how I would view a comedic TV show, both structurally, the length, but also I think the dominant tone of the show is comedic. Why comedy?
I mean, that's just what they gave me.
Got it. You wouldn't make a drama if they're like, we met you and decided you get an hour and it has no laughs or whatever.
The first version of the show was very dramatic and very dark in tone, and I think that we got to that was like I said, a solid communication with everything. Like, we didn't buy this. We want a comedy. This is too dark. This is too serious. We need a little bit more fun. And I'm really happy that happened because it allowed me to execute kind of that tightrope. Because naturally, I'm not like a jokester, I guess, contrary to popular belief. But yeah, it was very just much of the moment thing. But I think this gave us the ability. I think if you could do comedy, you could probably do anything.
Yeah. Have you ever tried or considered or someone say you should try stand-up?
Oh, I hear it all the time, but I'll never do that.
I think you'd be good at it. And I will say, I don't know why the other people said it. Maybe because they think you're a jokester, which I
think just probably storytelling, but it's like, it's a lot of work. Like, I'm not saying that to like demean it. I'm saying in a sense of like, that's not something that you can just pick up and be like, I do that. So I would really need to take in the time for it. I don't know if I got that in me right now.
Well, the thing is you'd have to perform so much more than you probably want to, but there is the nature of your worldview is a comedian's worldview. Like I largely interview comedians and preparing for this, like this is what a lot of comedians, how they see the world, which is like, there's a joke of like all comedians off stage are like miserable or whatever, but it's like, it's not exactly that either. It's just sort of like when, as I described it, it's like comedy, American comedy is a genre created by the marginalized because they were outside of the world looking at it. So they could comment on it. Like that's an observational comedy. And then like it evolved to be people who are like psychologically on the outside. So they're just sort of like, while the world is happening, they're just observing it. And it seems like that's a lot of the perspective of you, or at least the show, which is not negative. It's just sort of like, wow, that's wild. The world is happening. Is that what it feels like? Where it's like, I thought about like, I remember when I've interviewed Hannibal Buress, he'd be at a party and people would be like at the party and he'd be like watching people.
Oh yeah, that's 100% kind of what it is. So I definitely agree with that. Like my friend Hannah, she's doing a lot of success on like Hacks, but like her stand up is very different than like how she kind of is on the show. And it's funny because like she's very, very funny in like day-to-day life, but she's never telling jokes. And I think that that's kind of the comedian's thing, is like just the worldview is interesting and you find a way to palette that. And I really, really appreciate stand-up and like value the skill set that it takes. It's very unique.
I think you'd be good at it. And I'm an expert. I wrote a book about it.
Yeah, but that's, man, I don't know, man. I think maybe I appreciate that, but I'm like, I don't know when it would be, but
we can talk about it. This is what I suggest to people who don't do stand-up, how to get into stand-up. It's soft launching doing stand-up, which is like essentially doing planned Q&As in front of audiences. So it's like Larry David is kind of doing that. So like Larry David hated doing stand-up his entire life, famously would like leave the stage, and then like got Seinfeld after he had already stopped doing stand-up. And then next thing you know, he just curb, and now he's just like around. And he's like, oh, I could be funny if someone's interviewing me. And then people are not expecting stand-up where you're like going out, but you can kind of be funny off the cuff of it.
That's funny.
And then from that, you develop stories that work on stage.
And then you go to stage.
And then you go on stage by yourself.
I mean, that's like I said, some of Dave's approach. Dave just has conversations with people and like just talks on stage at a smaller comedy club, and then in 3 hours he has like I've never seen some shit like that in my life. He's a psychopath, but
Yes.
I've definitely seen that before, and it's a really interesting muscle to develop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really appreciate it. Maybe one day.
All right. I asked partly, so in March you tweeted, finishing season 2, finishing hip hop, what's next? We can't be stopped. The ghost of Bushwick Bill is among us. And I bring this up because, so I believe your last album marked the end of a 6-album deal you had.
Yeah.
This show, beyond the current press obligations you are currently doing, depending on if they make another show, whatever, who knows what the future is. I think it's hard to tell, but seemingly since you were like a teenager, you had a sense of what you need to do next just because you had some sort of professional obligation that you had to fulfill in one way or the other. What's it like right now where hypothetically you don't have the immediate thing where you have to do it?
I mean, the funny thing is I work kind of fast, so I promise you most of my life is just waiting on people. So it's like I have a lot of free time, so I do like kind of the family thing and like kind of just, kind of stay present at home and community and stuff like that. But I never was like, I'm going to be a musician. That was never a thought of mine. I was like, I'm going to do television. So I'm just open and like trying all the things, but you have to kind of listen to which way the wind is blowing, and then you can kind of like fall into it, because that's kind of how I got all
Do you
these
have a
situations.
sense which way the wind is blowing? Is it now stand-up comedy because I brought it up?
I mean, it might be. That's what I'm saying. Like you
I'm now the wind.
Yeah, you never know. You might be the wind.
Because if you were given $100 million with no expectations, so not from network, someone just like, here's $100 million, what would you do with your life? Would you create?
No. I do some privatized equity. Probably become a slumlord,
Got it.
and then I just hang
All right, cool.
and like help some people. But I would probably create. But I honestly want to say yes, but I don't think I would.
It's too much money. I should have got a smaller number.
It's too much money. With that much money, it'd be over.
$6 million? I mean, I guess it's sort of like you described that you're trying to be on a creative journey and not a capitalist one.
For sure, because I think you can make money doing anything. But the thing is, when you go like, it's not necessarily capitalism more than it is like the idea of like celebrity. When you chase that shit, you're fucked, because that comes with like a certain amount of spending and a certain lifestyle, and then you're just fucked. So it's like I think that's dumb.
A thing happens where your work seemingly is very ambitious in terms of how thoughtful it is and how much work you're putting into it. But you will not refer to it, and you won't talk to it as seriously as I think a lot of people would then take it. Are you creatively ambitious, or do you just have good taste? And you want to fulfill the things that are in your brain?
I think I'm ambitious because I'm not really a fan of things in like that kind of way. Like I wish I was, honestly, because I feel like that would make me better at what I'm doing. But like I just kind of like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like, and I don't think anything is like better or worse than anything else. Like we're having a conversation, we have to do this press thing, and it's like top 4 films, and I don't have a top thing. It's like
Wonder who asked you that.
You know what I mean? It's like I don't have like those kinds of things. So it's like I think it's just who I am. I wish Corey said once, because Corey is an asshole in meetings, and they were like, this or that, you should try this kind of song, and we were talking about it, and Corey's like, I think his direct quote was, if Vince couldn't make that kind of song even if he tried. He's like, if he tries his best to make, I think it was like a love song or like a very commercial type thing. He said it wouldn't be a normal version of that. He's like, so it's no reason to ask kind of for these things. And I think that kind of leans more into what you're saying about just like being a creative or person.
Art for art's sake.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. Because I've done so much stupid shit that was a bad idea just because I wanted to do it. Like I've never made a good decision like creatively. I could have went and made like a family sitcom, and I would have had like 15 seasons if I'd have made like the Upshaws or something that like more people could digest.
I imagine after Abbott, you could have taken meetings about like, oh, actually, I want to do this. I want to be the son in a thing.
Yeah, it's smart. Like it's smart, and more people relate to those things, and like you actually like those shows are amazing for just the world. Like you do feel good comedy, and feel good things that uplift people. I'm all for that. I love that kind of shit. I just don't think that's who I am as a person. And yeah, hopefully that changes so we can get some money. But that's just where we are.
In the show, I think it's your uncle says he would film you playing football, and he says you were awful, but you love being on camera. Is that correct, or is that
Oh
the
hell
character?
no, that was some OJ shit. That was fun. I'll tell you why I said things are off. That's a little allegorical thing, but yeah, I never no one really went to like our sports games when we were kids. That wasn't like a normal thing, but
That was
yeah,
more OJ's
no
perception
camera
of
stuff.
you.
Yeah, no camera stuff. But that's OJ being ego driven.
How much do you care about making more music?
Music is easy. I think this is the thing, bro.
But like, it's easy, but like, so then it's so easy you could hypothetically not do it. Like,
This thing about music, right? It's fucked up about music. A lot of motherfuckers, bro, they get confused. It's like you have this job because you make music. Period. You have a show because you're the rapper who can the music's not going. So the second that people stop making music or start devaluing music to go chase this other shit, you're a fucking idiot. You can't kind of dismiss the thing that got you here, because there are a million better creatives, there are a million better writers, producers, directors, actors, all this other stuff. But your perspective that is given from the musical background is kind of what gets you in some of these rooms. And I make music by myself. Like I don't have any other writers, and I'm like literally make albums kind of sitting in my room by myself with the engineer, in a room by myself with the engineer. So it's like, it's no reason not to do it for me creatively. Like it's an interesting thing. Now the games of music and all the other things, I think I've kind of aged out of that. But yeah, I think that music is like, it's always gonna be around.
it's like, might as well make it. You are able to. It makes it so. The Vince Staples show is a show about like a rapper who made this show, and it's so complicated in conversation with your rap music. If you're just a guy who made this show,
What the fuck? Yeah, what are we talking about? And it's like, so people just stop doing shit, and it's like I personally wouldn't do it, but hey, I like music, man. I think I take musical risks. Not like I'm trying to make hit songs. I make shit that very few people listen to when they come to some shows. So it's like in the grand scheme of things. But yeah.
In October, there were 2 weeks for the first time in 35 years where there was no rap song in the top 40. Since I think Biz Markie, was in 1990. What do you feel about rap music and the cachet it has or doesn't have?
I mean, genre is not a real thing to me. So it's like, it's not. Everyone has programmed drums on Fruity Loops and quantized hi-hats. So like, what are we talking about, you know?
You came up adjacently and somewhat associated with the Odd Future guys. And I think what's interesting is that you all have different ways of living an artist's life. Artist, capital A, not music artist. When you look at certain things they do, do you get inspiration? Do you go like, oh, that in general, had you talked about like, can we expand what the definition of like what our careers can be?
Honestly, no. It's never been a conversation. I think I just know them from like being a kid. So it's like, hey, how are you? Kind of like, you know what I mean? That's kind of like the extent to where like it goes. But I think that as an artist, we all have like this longing to kind of figure something else out. Like we're nosy and like kind of in our own heads a lot. So I think that's gonna be something that's always present, like whether it's spoken about or not.
Nosy. What does that mean?
Just want to figure out how to make the next thing, how to figure this next thing out. It's like it's a thing.
You'll tell the story of how you got into rap music as sort of like, almost like it just was a thing that was happy. Your friends are like, oh, we can make music. Everyone kind of makes music. You're able to just sort of make music. You'll tell the story of like,
it was a money thing.
Yeah. And Mac Miller being like, oh, here's how you rap, whatever. But I was curious, like, if all your friends were sculpting, and Mac Miller's like, I'm going to teach you how to sculpt or whatever, do you think you'd be a sculptor if there was a lot of money in modern sculpture?
This is a tangent, right? It's kind of different because they weren't really my friends.
Yeah.
My friends were doing a completely other thing.
Got it.
So this is my second group of friends.
Yes.
So I think based on that being a second group of friends and trying to kind of find something different in life, I was looking for anything that wasn't the first hobby. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of that's what music was for me. Like, what else? You want to go home and do that again? So it's like, it wasn't my thing.
But like if they were all painting.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It could have been construction. I would have been a construction worker.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I was thinking of you, and I assume you've seen the movie The Departed.
Yeah.
So there's a part where Jack Nicholson, I think, makes up this quote about John Lennon. There's no record of him saying this, but he says, John Lennon would say, I'm an artist, give me a tuba, and I'll bring you something out of it. And I think of you as a person that's like that, which is like, whatever person presented you, you would have been an artist with it. Is that how you feel?
Absolutely. Hey, make a TV show. And here we are. You know what I mean?
I bring up sculpture for a reason. So on the song Rain Comes Down off your album, Big Fish Theory, you say, you're the Louis Bourgeois on the beat.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very specific person. That is not the most, that of all artists you picked from, that's the one you picked. What does Louis Bourgeois mean to you?
That's some cool things, you know? That's pretty much it. I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, okay. So Louise Bourgeois.
It's no fun if I tell you. That's like.
Well, so I'll just say things that she's associated. One, like she would make these spooky spiders.
I like tall spiders.
And they're representative of her coming out of sort of trauma over childhood. They are tributes to her mother, who she felt was a strong figure, but a protective figure. And that seemed like things you'd resonate with. But you won't tell me. But look into it.
Who knows? You know.
Who knows? I mean,
maybe it could have just rhymed. You know what I mean? You never.
It did not rhyme. It's the beginning of it. The other artist you referenced is Richard Prince, who I think is also similar in that what we were talking about before the John Malkovich thing, which is like the idea of an authentic rapper, and his entire art has been motivating to sort of demystify the idea of authenticity needs to be a part of art. Would you love the idea of being free of authenticity, meaning biographical?
Well, I am. I think it's like this. Like, there's a way to kind of pull from your life and kind of still be creative with it, from other song structure, tempo, or things of that nature. So you have to find the creative elements. If I had something better to talk about than myself, I promise you I would. I think that's why, like, I'm not like a music guy. I don't even really listen to music, to be honest. So it's like I'm not the best music maker. You know, I don't have the experience in it. But all I have is like my perspective and kind of myself. So like it works out. But I think that's why film is like cool and a little bit of a challenge. Yeah. Not challenge, like a challenge, but like kind of breath of fresh air, because you get to just like do things that aren't about you. So I like Richard Prince. Yeah, I like the joke book too. So yeah, I lost it. It's small, but you got some good stuff. But yeah, I think that you can be free if you allow yourself to be. And I think I've constantly kind of just do what I want to do. So I'm lucky in that way.
We're speaking on election day in New York. I believe 2024 was the first election you could vote in.
Yeah.
Did you vote?
Yeah, I voted, and I voted this time. I did my little thingy that they mailed to the house. I don't think I dropped it off, though. I think it's like on the kitchen counter.
How'd it feel?
What, voting?
Yeah.
I don't care. You do the right thing. You know what I mean? But I'm for like revolution. I live a revolutionary lifestyle, so we have something that has to be like bombed. So
yeah. That voting is done. Voting you might as well do as we wait for the revolution to come.
You get what I'm saying? It's a way to pass the time. It's time to bomb something. It's time for a fucking what they do in Paris when they threw the shit on the building. Like, we gotta go shit the building. Netflix isn't gonna like that I said bomb something, but we gotta go shit the building. And you know, it's time to fight back. Take the country back. You know, Nat Turner. You know.
Do you feel like Elon Musk is a government psyop?
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's South African too, with the hairpiece and a diamond mine.
Well, I think it's not a piece. I think it's a whatever.
Still a hairpiece. They don't get to run away from that.
Oh, interesting.
It's a piece.
All right, that's fair.
It's a piece, man. It's cool. It's, you know, put your ball hair on your head. I have no issue with it, but I'm gonna call it a hairpiece.
Earlier this year, you tweeted, "They'll never let you in the Criterion closet because you'll reveal the Matrix." What is the Matrix? Not beyond the movie. What is the Matrix of the Criterion closet?
We're going, I think, tomorrow.
Yeah, I assumed. What do you think? What are you getting? I think this will come out before that will come out.
It'll be fun.
You're ready to reveal the Matrix?
It'll be fun, you know. Yeah.
What's the Matrix to you? Do you like, do you remember first seeing the Matrix?
Foreign films.
I
hate the perception of a foreign film. It's so deep because it has subtitles. Like, if you don't watch The Lion King with everybody else, you know what I mean? Grow up.
That's fair. The clip we watched was foreign, but
doesn't count.
That's not what it.
That's not Back to the Future.
No.
If you asked me to pick between, a pigeon sat on a branch reflecting life
Hmm.
and Back to the Future 3, I'm picking Back to the Future 3 every time,
That is the matrix of it. That's fair.
you know?
So this is the 10-year anniversary of your song Norf Norf,
Hmm.
which, beyond being your most streamed song, went viral after a white woman made a video criticizing the content of it, a video that was later parodied by the TV show Atlanta. Also, because of that song, it made you an international touring artist. There's a lot of things that I imagine in the moment were just sort of like,
Hmm.
well, but now they have 10 years from it. You've had more of a career. How do you remember it? What do you make of that?
I don't really think about it much, to be honest.
Well, that's why I'm asking you to think
Yeah,
about
I
it.
think it's like a one of those things where it's like kind of early. Like one thing falls into another because it's really like big fish theory. Like we just toured in there. It's like they don't really care. They like the Flume songs and stuff. So it's like you never really know. But at once every step gets you to the next step, and that was a very important step. And it's like very successful. And it's a chicken or the egg thing because it took a while for it to go like platinum and things of that nature. But it was very much so like an organic process of a song. And
Well, when it got you to whatever the next stage
uh-huh.
was, how did you process that stage was? Because I think anytime a person is taken from one echelon or whatever of fame to another echelon, regardless of how interesting or not interesting fame is, that
Well,
shift
that's
is
the thing. It didn't.
yeah.
It didn't at all. Like nothing changed. Like that's it. It took like 2 years for that song to like become kind of what it was. It was always a successful song for the project. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't what it is now. That was like almost 5 years later. So I
Mhm.
think it kind of was all. I put out music like every 8 months, 9 months for like the past forever. You know what I mean? Like at that point in time, I was putting a
Yeah.
lot of music, so it kind of was one thing after another. We were constantly touring and things of that nature. So it wasn't like ever like a moment where you sat back and thought about it. Now it doesn't mean like we're diminishing the success, but like it 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 was a combination of those things, and as like the work grew and as the understanding for art grew and things of that nature, the song also grew. So
Mm.
it was just like it's just the highest point of like a constant journey, so to say.
Do you know if you're getting a third season of the show?
Mm-mm. I don't know. Not no, but I don't know.
Do you want to?
I don't know. I want to continue to make film and television, but it's like I wouldn't be like if they're like it's over now. I'm fine with that. But if they're
Mm.
like let's make something else, or like it's not, it doesn't stop. I'm grateful for one episode. If I'm just a pilot to be
Yeah.
shot. So I really don't think about it in that way. But there's more to tell, but also it can not to spoil it, but we could
Yes, I
but
know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. That I will not spoil the last second of the season.
Hmm.
We'll spoil the middle part, but not the last second of the season. Which I feel like saying that does kind of spoil it, but
Yeah.
never mind. So the season
That's
one
the fun part though.
season one ended on a cliffhanger, and
For sure.
it lingers. But anyway, so now time for the final segment of the show. It's called a laughing round. It's like a lightning round, but
Mhm.
comedy related. Do you have a favorite joke? Like a joke? Like a street
No,
joke?
but I like knock knocks.
Do you have a favorite knock joke?
No, I just like them all. I like the format. It's like I like this unique format.
It really is. There's nothing else that is so clearly that rhythm,
Mhm.
and it's stood the test of time.
It's the best shit in the world.
Do you have a short story of an interaction with a legendary comedian, rapper, actor you're willing to share with us?
Hmm. Shit.
Living or dead?
Kanye West sat next to me once and was like, "I like the Sprite commercial," and didn't say anything else.
That's
At a Dave Chappelle stand up screening, didn't even look at me. Just said, "I like the Sprite commercial."
wild. Do you have is there something that people think is comedy that you think that's not comedy?
Hmm. Shit. No, I think people are evil. So inherently, like human beings are disgusting creatures. So we're gonna laugh at some inappropriate shit. So anything, somebody's probably laughing at, feed the children commercial or something
Mhm.
like that. People are dark.
What's the worst advice you've ever gotten?
I don't take advice. Yeah, I don't take advice. I stray from it actually.
Well, but have people given you advice and you've ignored it?
Not like consciously.
Hmm. They're just saying their advice and you just sort of washes over you.
Oh, one day a A&R or just a music person said, man, fuck all them old dudes around you. People experiencing the music business. Get some young fly niggas. That was something somebody told me once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there a part you auditioned for that you wish you got still?
I don't think anything I auditioned for that I didn't get came out or got produced.
Mm.
So I can't really say. There were some things that would have been interesting to make. It was like this, um, I forgot the dude's name, but it was like this Australian filmmaker that had like a thing about a photographer and like train robbers and shit. That seemed like it would be interesting. So
Yeah.
I think I wish that would have got made. It's not. I did not get that role. It just never got made. But yeah.
Can you remember your best or favorite day on set or in the studio?
The shooting of the Wood pilot was very interesting and fun. It's the only time I got a role that they weren't like, just be yourself. Like, it's like, people don't know what that really entails because that means I'm just gonna stay here and not talk.
Yeah,
But I really like shooting that pilot. Yeah, I would say that's Abbott was always fun, but Abbott's like it's different. But the Wood pilot was like, oh, I get to do something that's not myself, and you see that you can actually do a good job at it. Still haven't seen it, but it seemed good on set. But
what was particularly fun about the Abbott set that you said?
it was just a good environment. Like, it was a really good environment. I like a back lot. A lot of fucking amenities on those back lots. But yeah, that was cool. And Quinta's the best, and she kind of put me in a position to succeed. And Tyler and Janelle, so many great people on that show, so it was cool.
What was it like? So that part is written for you. What's it like to see a script and be like, this is for me. This is how this person sees me.
It was cool. Like, I think it's you just want to know if you do a good job. I feel like I could have done a little bit better, like in retrospect, because I was like, okay, it's ABC. How do you? I should have been a little ruder to that kid. I think about it all the time. I should really shit on that kid. It haunts me whenever I see that clip. Like, I should have shit on that kid. But yeah, I think it was cool. Like, it was a really good experience.
Do you have a best time you bombed at a live show?
I don't think I've ever bombed. I fell off stage once at sound check because they didn't tape the corners. I almost died. I think that's it. Corey, have I ever bombed? Well, no. I probably bombed. Corey had me perform at a real hip hop show once, and it was like it was a real hip hop show, and they were like, "Where the bars?" And I didn't care. I thought it was funny, but I think that counts as a bomb.
I think that counts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man.